Hi, I'm Dave Ruden. Welcome to the Ruden Report Podcast Zoomcast. I'm in the middle here of working on my field hockey previews, and I figured why not make a little field hockey Zoomcast here. So, of course, if I'm going to do that, I have to bring the coaches of the big rivals. And being the kind of guy I am, since they're not playing each other as of right now, I figured I have to get them together somehow. And so that's what we're doing right now. I have Darien's Mo Minicus and Staples Ian Tapsall. How are you guys doing?
Great. Thanks for the invite.
So what's been happening with both your teams so far this preseason? I've seen you both a little bit.
I'll let you go, Mo.
Yeah, no, we're all right. We're itching and ready to go tomorrow. For us, it's a little strange to open up not having had like a full team scrimmage. Starting on 11, we had on that wasn't able to get a scrimmage, but we've been working hard, itching and ready to go, and we'll see what happens. We play New Canaan.
I was just going to say, for you, it's a rivalry game and it's a big game because you're playing another one of the top teams in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. But the girls are excited. The bottom line is they're so psyched to just be out there playing. And I think it's kind of fun to start the season, especially under these conditions, with having not played for so long, to play one of our biggest rivals.
And Ian, you open tomorrow as well.
Yeah, we're at home against Danbury tomorrow. The attraction for us is that we're playing on our brand new turf, which the girls have been trying to get used to. It's a sand-based turf, which has been a little tricky. It's taken a while for the girls to get used to it because it's not as quick as the last turf we had, but it will get quicker as time goes by. Practices have been different, to say the least. The girls are just itching to play, and as soon as we get started and hopefully everybody stays safe and we continue through to a complete season, albeit against 5 other teams, I think we can safely say that it's been pretty satisfactory considering the conditions we've been put under.
I agree.
The fact that you had to start with conditioning for such a long period of time, which I'm sure got very boring after a while, and then you've kind of had to rush through regular kind of practicing to get ready for the season. Do you kind of feel like your teams are in a different state to start a season now as they would be in a conventional year?
I 100% do. When we were held back to the 1 hour practices and the 1.5 hour practices with the girls in their cohorts, the onus was on us coaches to just get creative and do what we could do as best as and efficiently as possible within the guidelines. But I know for us specifically, at this point, starting our first regular season game, we've had at least 2 scrimmages and maybe at least 1 or 2 play days to really sort of get the kick, figure out where the holes are, and we've had none of that. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, we've been fortunate enough that we've been able to kind of do semi-competitive play scrimmage-wise within the team over the last week. But I will reiterate that the conditioning seemed to have been football-centric in terms of what the CIAC laid down. So I know that Mo's got players and I've got players that have played club over the summer. And I know that they've been able to keep up to a certain level of fitness. And if they knew that they were going to have some sort of hockey season, it was incumbent upon them to try and do as much fitness training as they could. But that's no replacement for, as Mo said, I mean, you've got to be so creative trying to sort out drills where the players have to stand 6 feet apart, and you've got to make sure that they're not falling asleep and that they're paying attention. That was the tricky part. But again, I mean, I think the overwhelming fact is at least we got a season. Looks like we're going to have a season, so we'll make do with the troubling stuff that we had. Which it was just great to get the kids. Just liked being outside, and it was great to see them and trying to get on and try and
together.
Try and get
together with their teammates.
Together. Yeah, right.
The song remains the same with both your teams. You both lost a lot of good players, and you both have a combination of a lot of good players back and a lot of talent that's coming up. So What do you expect from your teams this year? And is it different your team's going to be motivated to win everything, but it's not like I guess you're trying to win a pod title now rather than get yourself positioned to be a top seed in the FCAC playoffs.
You can go, Ian.
I can go. Well, I think you just have to readjust your targets. I mean, the target for us, fortunately over the last few years has always been, to play against Mo and a Darien team and to try and go as far as we can in FCACs and in the States. I think what you have to do now is reassign the targets that you set your kids. And the target for me is that we've got a pretty decent pod in terms of opposition, including Wilton and Ridgefield. I won't tell you what team we're honing in on more than the other, but we are, and that's where your aim has to be. You've got to set a goal, and the goal is within your region. I think if we're lucky enough to get out of the regular season and maybe have a crossover for FCACs, which it might happen, it might not, then that'll be extra bonus. But at the moment, it's trying to sort the target to be the best team in your pool and try and have a really good performance against them.
Mo, you got a strong pot also. You have New Canaan, you have Greenwich.
Yeah, no, I just echo what Ian said. You just change your targets because that's all you can do. And we're lucky we have two great rivals. And with New Canaan and Greenwich. And so we're just, obviously tomorrow will be a first test, but I think it's just one game at a time. And, regardless of how tomorrow goes, we have hopefully the rest of the season to grow and, figure out where we can be at the end of the season. And regardless of whether it's an FCAC or our little pod, at this point, on our team, like the goal is to get as far as we can go and ultimately, do our best to win it. So that's what we're doing in these times.
I'm sure obviously it's disappointing you two want to play each other at some point, and hopefully maybe however this postseason experience plays out, you will. But, working on the preview, the league's really deep. I mean, one team that intrigues me that's really just come on is Ridgefield's really become a really, really strong program. And they seem to be echoing what you both have been able to do in terms of getting strong and looking like they'll be able to sustain it as well.
Yeah, well, I think it all starts with the town program that they have, 8th grade and lower. We're both lucky in Darien and in Westport that we've had established programs before. And I think over the last 2 years, Jane Olsen has been in charge of the Ridgefield Town program, and she's been building it. And I think that's feeding more people into club. And I think that last year, they had a pretty good record last year. And I think they're going to be that much better this year. They're going to be a lot more competitive this year because I think of the club that they've been playing. And I think they lost one player to D1 in Bella Carosa. She's going to play at Providence, but they've got two potential well, they haven't got a commit already in D1 in Erin Chris, and they've got maybe another one who might be coming up. So I think that's definitely a team that is up and coming and is going to start becoming higher in the seedings as we go along through the years.
Yeah, it just seems, again, looking over, Norwalk has been strong and will continue to. New Canaan and Greenwich are. And even, just looking at my players to watch here, you see you've got girls from Trumbull, you got girls from Fairfield Ludlow, Fairfield Ward. So it seems like everybody is getting better around you and keeping you guys both on your toes and your players on their toes.
Yeah, throughout the FCAC, there's a splatter of just some phenomenal players. It would be really fun to actually have sort of an all FCAC team play together one time, because I think it would just be a phenomenal team. You mentioned Trumbull, Meg McCarthy, the goalie from Trumbull. I love her. She is such an athlete. She's so good. It's fun to play against because she's and unfortunately we won't have the chance to play against her this year. She was the all FCAC goalie last year, I think as a sophomore, and she's very good. Ian, do you play her?
No, that's in the that's
the other pod.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mentioned this before we started taping here, and you can either make me sound really smart or expose me for being a fraud, but it seems to me, like a lot of other sports, the talent level as a whole has been going down. And field hockey seems one of the sports that really is going up, which I don't know if you agree with that. And just as a novice, to me, you talk about club, you guys are playing year round. I think the people like to bash field hockey because they remember the old days when it was played on grass and it was slow and there was a whistle every 2 seconds. And now it's played on turf, and it seems to me like you're getting much better athletes playing field hockey than maybe was the case a while ago. So am I smart or a fraud?
No, you're not a fraud to us, but you might be with other coaches, for sure. But I think it's the advent of people like Mo and I and the clubs that we're associated with, showing these parents and the families that there's an opportunity to play this particular sport in college. And I think whereas it's been, lacrosse has always been a girl's favorite to get to college, I think now that we're offering an alternative, I think that girls can actually see that there's a better way of trying to get to college, if not playing a sport that is equally as competitive as the other sports around there. And I know that when I see girls from Staples actually ending up going to college, it is the best feeling that you can have as a coach, because you know that you put the necessary work in and the girls put the necessary work in. And it's a combination of everything that they've actually done on the sports field. And I think the opportunities for girls to now use field hockey to get to college are suddenly being seen by parents out there in Fairfield County. And it's a result of, the town programs growing. It's a result of the clubs that are offered. I mean, Mo's club Chelsea Piers down in the Stamford area, my club FHCC up here in Westport Fairfield area, we're suddenly giving an opportunity for all these girls who otherwise hadn't had that opportunity to play club, and they can actually see the benefits of it.
And even the girls that might not have the potential to play college, still play club in the winter and the off season. And that, I think, also really helps our teams because it just gives our teams just that bigger depth.
I don't think people, the general high school sports fan really associates field hockey and club field hockey, but is it pretty much paralleling what lacrosse is? It seems like it's kind of somewhat similar, other than you're indoors more because your off season is over the winter time. Is it similar to lacrosse?
Well, I think the club season encompasses about 8 months of the year. The 4 months that we're blacked out is for the high school season. Of those 8 months, 4 months are played over winter when we are indoor, which means the other 4 months we're playing outdoor. So it's evenly split. I don't think that people realize, or the general person on the street realizes, how important indoor field hockey is to players' development. It's a much quicker game. It's only 6-a-side. It's played indoors. It brings on the skills better to a player. So it's a different sport than lacrosse, because basically in lacrosse you're playing the outdoor game indoors. So it's an entirely different game. I would say that the benefits are the same. I'm not particularly au fait with the lacrosse season in terms of how long it goes round, but I would imagine that the 8 months of the year is exactly the same as lacrosse. Mo knows better. She's all about lacrosse.
Used to be. Yeah, I think what's interesting about field hockey club is that the winter season tends to be the biggest season, and it's a completely different sport. But I think that's also why it's sometimes maybe more popular, or maybe more, just because it's fast. It's have to speak. Did you lose my video?
Yeah, I lost you for a second there.
All right, I'll come back. Why?
We can hear you though.
All right. Well, move on. Next question. Sorry. Oh, there
No,
we
you
go.
are.
I'm back.
You're back. Is it similar in terms of traveling to tournaments and things like that, or is it pretty much just contained to around here and playing different teams? Do your clubs travel much in the off season?
Yeah, I mean, in the winter, it all depends on how each club runs their program. But each team of each age group probably travels at least 4 weekends, maybe 5, to various tournaments in Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Then there's, 3 or 4 showcases that the girls can choose to participate in, namely mostly down in Florida or Virginia. It's a lot. It's a lot of travel. It's almost every weekend.
Are those big for college as well, like it is with lacrosse? They're big showcases, and it's used a lot for recruiting by college coaches?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's I think what happens down in Florida and Virginia is you get a big smattering of coaches there, and that's one of the places that these girls have to go if they want to be seen. I mean, they can send in video, but it's much better for these coaches to actually go down and actually watch them in game situations. They're big tournaments. I mean, don't get me wrong. The National Indoor Tournament, which is held down in Spooky Nook in Lancaster, PA, I think it's about, I think 3,000 kids play over a period of four days. I mean, it is huge. It's absolutely huge.
I think it's at least 200 teams.
Wow.
Sorry, I'm finding my charger.
No, that's okay. So we don't know what this postseason experience is, but if you both should be fortunate enough to navigate your pods and win your pods or your divisions, what do we have to do to see Darien, Staples? Because it's been a long time since we've had a postseason without you two seeing each other.
Honestly, I don't think there's any likelihood for it, to be honest. Not to be negative, but I just don't think there is if we get through the season. So Ian and I are just going to have to create a private game somewhere. I'm kidding.
We have a Ruden Report sponsored. If I don't want to exclude anybody else.
Totally. No.
If you both should win your pod, though, maybe we can find a neutral field and let you two go at it.
They'll come and play in your backyard, Dave.
Yeah.
My backyard's not really not really accommodated to that, but I can go. I know a lot of people in Westport, so if Mo doesn't mind making the trip, I can go back to my hometown and find a place to play.
Yeah, I mean, any opportunity we get, as long as it's safe, we'd love to play against Darien for sure.
Well, listen, I appreciate you both taking the time on the eve of the start of your new seasons, and I'm looking forward to getting out and seeing both your teams play. At least if we can't have a regular season, A, at least we have something, and B, at least you're both in pods that your teams are going to be tested, and we're going to have a lot of competitive games. So thanks a lot for taking the time here, and best of luck to both of you, and hopefully next time we all see each other, it's going to be on the same field.
All right, thanks, Dave.
All right,
thanks, Mo.
Thank you,
Good
Dave.
luck.
Bye, and thanks, you too.
And that's the Ruden Report podcast, our extra one for this week. And again, thanks to Mo Minicus and Ian Tapsall, and we'll see you all again real soon.